and I met Impressionist Mr. Paul Melba, star of television's Who Do You Do, Celebrity Squares, etc., etc., etc. The first thing I said to Paul, as usual, was, "Welcome to the show, Paul Melba."
How are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Paul. Impressionist. Well, in fact, singer impressionist. There's not many singer impressionists in the business, is there?
Oh, thank God, no. I think if there was too many, you know, we'd have a little bit of a job climbing the ladder, you know. But I think it's not bad having a little bit of. You've got to have a little bit of a fight on your hands. I don't mind a few of them round. I think it's rather nice, you know. It gives you a little bit of competition. There are a few impressionists, singer impressionists in the business, you know, and good ones. Good boys, you know.
And I believe you started off as a singer?
I started off as more or less operatic type singing, you know, classical. And then I decided that wasn't going to get me money, you know. I had to start putting things in, like impressions in comedy, and make it vary the act, and do an entertaining type act, you know, be an entertainer, rather than just stand there and sing.
Yeah. Talking to you before, you mentioned to me, in fact, you are now known as a name artist. When do you think the division came? When did you become a name?
When I become a name, I suppose it was a slow process, really. You know, I mean, I started in the north of England, and eventually ended up. I did all over the place. I was going to Newcastle, places like that in Scotland, and being asked back to these places and making my name known locally in various places, in London. And then suddenly I did a television show. I did many television shows, but there was one successful one, which was a Saturday variety show. And I made a bit of a hit on it, you know, and I was asked, at that particular time I didn't have an agent, and I had all sorts of offers. And then I finally got with the lady that I'm with today, which is Eve Taylor, and she got hold of me, and within a year everything started to happen. It happened so fast, it was ridiculous. I couldn't control it. It was just moving ahead. And she saw the potential in me, you know, and she started to, you know, she saw whatever there was there, you know, the entertainer in me, and she pulled it all out.
Molded it together.
And she sent me out to office. I did the talk of the town for a month, and then she got me a series with Who'd You Do, and then another series with Val Doonigan, and I did quite a few other Who'd You Do's, and I was asked to do the Royal Command performance through Eve Taylor, and then I was asked to do another Command performance through Eve Taylor, and lots of other beautiful little jobs besides that, you know, and it's super, you know.
Talking about the Command performance, included in your act tonight was a rather beautiful little impersonation of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah.
It took a rather long time to do it. I think it's more or less a dry voice. One would almost expect a James Mason to fall out of it. See, James Mason's voice was very similar to mine. Lots of people do voices. They think of the quality of the voice and the dryness of it. My daughter Anne, things like that. Got a bit of a cough at the moment.
Yeah. Talking about James Mason coming into the Duke of Edinburgh, I noticed towards the end of your act tonight you had previously done Kojak. You then went on to do a series of other characters.
Yeah.
But when you had a rapport with the audience and you were laughing, I noticed the laugh didn't seem to be your own. It was Kojak's laugh. Is this the fact that you had geared yourself up to a character and it was coming?
And it was coming through. Yeah. Well, very often when you do a character, it'll bleed into the act somewhere. You know, it secretes into the act. You find that you do a character, you wind up to do the character, and you've got to have a slow wind down in some cases. When you're doing an act, when you're doing it on stage, of course, you have to wind up quickly and then wind down quickly in order to get another character. But depending on, of course, how much the concentration is. If you put a lot of concentration in it, as I had to do tonight, because the voice isn't equipped to do Kojak. You've got to have a heavy voice for Kojak, and the voice is a bit worn at the moment. I'm not helping it by smoking. it's a bit worn at the moment. I've just got over a cold, and it's when you've finished with a cold, the sinuses, your sinus runs from your sinus onto your larynx and it lies heavy. All the catarrh and what have you. It lies heavy, and then you clear this, and it leaves it dry. You've got to keep lubricating it, and if you haven't got any sort of liquid on the stage, then you can't, you're in a bit of a stage, and you're doing a James Mason right through. It becomes too dry. You see, your voice is dry, and you must have what I call a wet voice, sort of a loose voice, a very heavy voice to do impressions.
Talking about that, horses for courses, really. Have you ever got up there on stage and in the middle of your act introduced a character and found that that night wasn't the night when your voice would reproduce that particular character?
Yeah. As tonight, I got it, and I had to really concentrate on the Kojak to get it, and it wasn't producing. I wasn't getting the character off. You think of the character, you put the facial reaction to it, and what happens is you form a cavity for the sound to come through, and if you form that mouth, your mouth or whatever, to get the voice, and the voice doesn't come through, you really have to start bending the face then for the voice, the back of the throat to sort of open or whatever, or close, whatever you got to do, or push it more, and then you're overdoing it. You're over-characterizing the person that you're doing, and very often you go away from the character rather than keep on him.
Facial impressions, you did quite a few tonight. I think Eric Morecambe was one of the best I've seen. Very good.
Eric Morecambe, yeah. I think that's quite easy because you recede. I'm receding a little bit at the side, so as soon as I put that in, it's psychological because he's receding and they've got the glasses on. They're a replica of his glasses.
Oh, and of course the other glasses, Sergeant Bilko.
The Bilko glasses are also a replica, and so also is the Michael Caine glasses.
Yeah.
They're all made exactly the same as these characters. I have photographs sent from the BBC, and I sent it along to an optician. I don't have to go to, my eyes are all right, I need glasses, but I go to this optician it's a manufacturing place, they make frames of glasses in Blackpool, and he made them for me. And if I lose one or something's taken as a sort of souvenir, it leaves me in a right mess, Nice, I like to see you. And what about this? Have you ever seen my advert on the television? The Corona, you must see it. Fizz, fizz, fizz. Every time. I'm going to advertise every time I can. Come on, stand in line, you come on. And he just has a voice very similar to Top Cat, which of course is up as a dibble will be around in about 5 minutes. Get this alley cleaned up. Come on, come on, come on.
Yes, I've thought that watching Top Cat too.
Yeah.
The other final one was the one that I was literally doubled up with watching, and that was Marshall McLeod.
Marshall McLeod.
Well, there you go now. Now, I think that you're just about the best guy that's ever walked in this door tonight. Now, I'd have been here a lot sooner, only you couldn't get the horse through the door. And there you go, Mr. Chiefy there. And there you go.
Thank you very much.